What is up, everyone? Welcome to another video. We've got a big ship my cards order here. It's finally arrived from the USA. It actually contains probably the most expensive trading card that I've ever bought, a sports card. You're going to want to see that. It also includes a few other things that I've decided to buy for my PC, but then also flip. So I'll take you through each of those. They've been sitting over in the States for 6 months. And for those of you not really sure what Ship My Cards is, it's basically a mail forwarding service. So for those of us that are international, i.e. from the States, it gets quite expensive to get cards, right? Because sometimes the eBay fees, as an example, the shipping fee is mandatory, and it can be like $20, $30 USD just for one card. So Ship My Cards essentially reduces that cost significantly. It lets you, number one, get access to cheaper cards because, you don't have to pay that extra postage. But then number two, also get access to some sellers that won't ship internationally. You get them all shipped to Ship My Cards, you pay a small fee, and then you get it shipped home when you are ready. So I'm pretty keen to take you through each of this because there's actually quite a lot of pretty cool cards here that I want to show you. The first batch is not that cool. It's basically here just to flip or to give away for free, but still obviously going to show you those. So these were bought off Goldin. So the first one here is just a John Kelly rookie ticket from 2018 Contenders. I don't think the guy plays in the NFL anymore, but again, that was a cheapie that's basically just going to give him away to kids or at a card show to somebody that PCs that team. Now this next pile is basically all BGS Pokemon. You can see a big stack. The one on top is the only one that's going to be kept. It is Execute from Jungle First Edition, BGS 9.5. As you can see, I'm working on a full set of those for my daughter in PSA 9 condition. Obviously that's BGS, but we'll still go alongside those quite nicely. The rest here I'll quickly jump through because I don't want to bore you, but it's all just a bunch of random Pokemon from Sword and Shield, basically all in, BGS 9.5 condition for the most part, with no subgrades applied. Australia's pretty good because we have a bit of an arbitrage here where we can sort of buy these slabs for like $10, $15 Australian from the States and then sell them for, 2-3 times that, depending on how lucky we are. Now, this next pile is a bit of soccer. This is mostly soccer, this pickup. Unfortunately, if you guys aren't fans of soccer, but it was quite lucky for me to buy this sort of stuff. So this is a Mo Salah Refractor from 2019, 2020 Topps Chrome UCL PSA 10. That's bought purely to resell. Same with this one here from 2014 Prism World Cup. I got this very, very cheap. It will be a cheap or a freebie for somebody at a card show. These next two cards, it looks like, if I remember correctly, yes, they are both Nicolo Barella from 2020 Select Euro. The regulars on the channel will know that I'm building a rainbow of this for the Italian players because I am Italian. Italy won the Euros, they won the tournament, so I just thought it'd be nice to build a rainbow for each of the players in that set. This is the base card, obviously. This is the Silver Prism. I don't want those included in my rainbow. I just want the serial numbered cards, so those will basically go to be sold or just given to a mate, depending on how I feel. Next one is an Andrea Bellotti, so this is purely a PC item. It's from 2020 Immaculate. PSA 8, very thick card, numbered 30 of 50, I believe it is, or 38 of 50. Not game worn, it is player worn, but that's a pretty cool card just to have on a shelf. That'll go to my brother because I'm a nice guy. This next one here is purely for my PC, and it is an Aaron Moy, who is an Australian legend. It's from Immaculate as well. This is the Modern Marks Bronze version, 18 out of 50, PSA 9 auto. Again, pretty cool. So Aaron Moy, an Australian legend, played at multiple World Cups. He played for my local team here in Sydney, Western Sydney Wanderers. I actually bumped into him in the car park, 1 or 2 games after his debut, and he was the nicest, sweetest kid. Very shy back then. This is like 10, 12 years ago. And it's crazy to see such a shy kid go on and play in the biggest leagues around the world. He played in the Premier League. He played for Celtic in the Scottish Premier League, playing World Cups. It's a pretty cool card to add to the PC. This is another PC item, Matthew Ryan, our goalkeeper, our captain, from 2022 World Cup Prism. This is the Landmarks card, and for those of you that haven't seen this before, basically these are, the equivalent of a downtown. So they basically put some nice landmarks in there from around the country. Obviously the Sydney Opera House, and I'm assuming the water and stuff has to do with our beaches, and then also the Great Barrier Reef. I'm not sure why these cards are showing up pixelated. I think it's with my editing software, so just ignore that. Another PC item here of Marco Verratti from Select 2020 Euro. So this is not part of my Rainbow Chase, but it is a cool looking card. It is a tie-dye. It is player worn once again, 16 of 25. I just thought this was a really nice card with what I think is part of his nameplate. I also wanted to see what these CSG thick slabs felt like, and they actually feel quite good in hand. I think they feel better than PSA ones. Definitely feel better than BGS, that's for certain. I remember correctly, there should be 3 of these Marvel cards. Yes, there is. A Daredevil from Marvel Universe 1990, Human Torch, and then also a Captain America, all PSA 6, all PC items. They're not being resold. They're purely going to sit on a shelf, and maybe I can cuddle them at some nights when I'm cold and lonely. We've got a Paul Lanier, I believe is how it's pronounced, from 1950 Bowman Baseball. I don't collect baseball, even though I wear a Red Sox hat all the time. This is just a cool looking card. I think I got it very cheap, maybe like $4 US. Not sure if that's overpaid, but I've never owned anything of this vintage before, and it's just one of those things that I think it looks quite cool to own, now that I'm seeing it in hand. And then if somebody wants it from a show, they can either buy it from me or just have it for free. The next pile is, again, an interesting one. It's probably the only basketball that I think I picked up, these next 3 cards, if I remember correctly. Yes, they are. And they are all from Select 2013-14 basketball. I've talked in the past about how that was my first ever hobby box that I bought, so it holds a special meaning to me. And for that reason, I'm working on a few sets, specifically in the Purple Pulsar set, which is what this refractor is, what this parallel is. I'm doing it for the rookie autos, the rookie relic autos, I should say, the top selections, and then also the red hot and white hot inserts. So these are Kelly O and Peyton Siver, both rookies, and they are all event worn because rookies were not game worn in this set. But again, nice looking cards to add to the set. I think I'm only missing a few now, particularly Giannis, I think Steven Adams, and maybe CJ McCollum, if I remember correctly. And then also because I'm a Celtics fan, I decided to pick this up again from the same set for very, very cheap. Nice looking patch. Again, it is event worn, but it is 4 of 10, which is I think pretty cool. Now, if I remember correctly, this next bunch of cards is going to be all Select 2020 Euro as part of my Rainbow Chase. You've got an Insigne there, PSA 9, a Donnarumma PSA 10. They're both out of 25. A Camo Prism of Donnarumma out of 10, which is out of 60. A Donnarumma Green, which is the most expensive parallel within this set, more expensive than the gold, which is very interesting. PSA 10, it is 3 of 5. I only need the black prism to complete his rainbow now, which is pretty exciting. Federico Chiesa, PSA 9 in the blue. Again, Chiesa in the maroon. Nice looking parallels. And then a Barella in the tricolor, and then an Emerson also in the tricolor, both PSA 10. Both likely to be sold because, as I touched on, I'm only working on the serial numbered cards for my rainbow. I've also got an interesting talking point that I want to talk to in another video around rainbows and how tiresome they feel, right? Sitting back there and having to feel you need to buy some cards when they do pop up is very frustrating, and I want to stop doing that. I want to be buying cards when I want to buy them, not if I need to try and do them. And that's what basically this rainbow has pressured me into. It's making me feel like I need to buy these cards. So I'm going to take a bit of a break with those. Just quickly here, there's some more from this Rainbow Chase. You've got a Federico Chiesa in the orange, Bernardeschi in the tie-dye, and then a Bernardeschi in the camo. Because Italy won the tournament, I'm trying to grab as many gold cards from that set as well, which is what this Leonardo Bonucci is. It is 4 of 10, same as that Kelly O actually, which is pretty interesting. But a nice looking insert. I like this one. It's top of class insert. I got this pretty cheap, considering he was our captain, but an interesting one nonetheless. I think these cards, if I remember correctly, these 5 were freebies. I purchased these 2 for 99 cents each. You've got Benjamin Pavard, out of 25 tie-dye for France, and then a Ciro Immobile, 12 of 49, copper prism. I think this is what referred to as a copper checkerboard. I forget what the term is, but again, Italy not working on that rainbow, but that's a really cool card nonetheless. And for 99 cents to get a PC card that's serial numbered is a no-brainer. And then these were just freebies, a tie-dye, not tie-dye, a blue parallel, die cut, Declan Rice rookie, and then a David De Gea, Harry Kane, and David Alaba short printed base cards, which is, again, pretty cool of that seller considering I won those cards for so cheap. He had no need to give those to me for free. The last card here in that pile is a Dragon Ball Z card. It is not sports card related, but it is cool. It's numbered 30 out of 500, and it is an on-card auto of Chris Sabat and Sean Schmeichel, the voice actors for Vegeta and Goku respectively. Now, they're both signed on this card because that character is Vegeta, and that is those two characters fused together. These cards are pretty rare. It's unfortunately got a bit of little damage, if I remember correctly, which it does look like it is pretty bad. It won't grade well, but who cares? It's an on-card auto from the voice actors. What's cool about this is it was a Japanese release. They re-released it here in the US, and the way they got people excited, because obviously it's got Japanese text, people can't read that from English-speaking countries, but they got autos put in and basically had voice actors sign them respectively, which is, I think really cool. Now, before I jump on to some of the big ticket items, I've got a sealed box or semi-sealed box here of Dragon Ball Z Art Box Series 4. The OGs of the channel will know that I love this art box set. I've got all the series, I've got every single card. I initially bought this to bust on the channel, but I don't think I'll do that anymore because some of these cards that I bought, I'm going to show you at the end, ended up being a little bit more expensive. So I might just sell this now just to fund some of those purchases. But that is a hobby box, 24 cards per box, or 24 packs per box, I should say. And you get 2 clear cards, which look like these 2 cards over here, which are just 2 of those from that set. There's 2 others that are also pretty cool, but they're pretty rare and pretty hard to find, pretty expensive as well. Before I show you the big ticket items, there's also 2 comic books here that I picked up. So a Daredevil number 3 from 1964, and then also a Daredevil number 4, both CGC graded. The number 3, as you can see, a 3.0. The number 4 is a 5.0. These are in the new thick CGC slabs, which are nice, but I'll show you here what their books look like in better view. So that's the number 3, and there's the number 4. And for those of you playing at home that don't know a whole lot about Daredevil, this is what his suit originally looked like. He changed to the red suit, I think in issue number 5, 6, or 7. It's one of those 3 numbers, I don't remember. Maybe I'm wrong, but it was very early on in his run. Now, these were, not technically PC buys. So I basically sold some cards on Goldin, and then something happened where I couldn't transfer my money out. So I had to use it to buy something, and I thought that would be a cool thing to do because I have no doubt that I can sell those based on the arbitrage thing I talked to a bit earlier, where we can sell things for a bit more expensive or a greater price, I should say, here in Australia. And in the worst case, it just stays as part of my PC. But in terms of the big ticket items, there's this pile here of flawless soccer cards, and it doesn't look like much, but these cards are freaking amazing. So the first 2, nothing overly special. It is a Ramirez and Branislav Ivanovic, both autos, as you can see, both out of 25. The first one is a pitch perfect signature, and the second one is just the base flawless signatures. Now, those that have been watching my channel recently, especially follow me on Instagram, will know that I love flawless soccer, right? They only released it for 1 year, in my opinion. It is the greatest soccer set ever released. It is all on card auto. It is all match worn, and it was the only year they released it. And no other set comes close to how good this looks. Now, these 2 were PC. I'm going to sell them though, because I basically bought these out of FOMO back in January after missing out on a card that I'm going to show you in a sec that I since managed to buy for cheaper, which is pretty cool. But I've got patch autos in various different inserts for these 2 players now, so I don't really want just the autos. So you'll see those on eBay at some point. Speaking of that, you've got Branislav Ivanovic over here. This is a dual patch auto. I think it's referred to as the Momentous auto or Momentous patch auto. It is out of 20. And for those of you playing at home, so I mentioned these are, match worn. And the thing that really excites me about this being a Chelsea fan, a Premier League fan, is that for players that played in the Premier League, they use their Premier League kits as the jerseys that they put in here. But now for some other players around the world, they put their national team kits in there. But for players like Messi and for players in the Premier League, they put their club kits in. So this is PC. I've already got a Soul of the Game Ruby of this. I think it's at 15. A boot auto, which is pretty cool. So this will look nice next to it. Again, nice looking patches there from a Chelsea fan perspective. Now, speaking of Chelsea fans, this next card is easily the filthiest patch I've ever bought, and this is the first time I'm seeing it because I've literally just unboxed this. But let me see what this looks like, because that looks freaking filthy. That is such a nice looking card. So it is a Ramirez, as I just showed you. Serial numbered 1 out of 3, which they did for a few players in this set. Most of these will be out of 5, but for some players they did them out of 1 of 1s, they did 1 of 2s, and also 1 out of 3s. But it is part of the emblem, which I think is really cool and really unique. And as I mentioned, it is match worn. And what makes this even cooler for Ramirez is that Chelsea won, I believe, the Champions League the season that this kit is from. So potentially this is from a kit in the title-winning season, which I think is absolutely amazing, right? Chelsea's first Champions League win is something that's etched in history, right? It's one of the most pivotal moments in my life from a sports perspective. Being able to watch that and seeing this in person now is honestly amazing. And I got this pretty cheap. I think I paid $300 USD for that. And I consider that cheap. I know some people in the soccer market might consider that to be overpaid, but something like this is going to be worth more money one day. And as a collector, it doesn't get better than this. It's freaking match worn. He's touched this card. He's worn that jersey. As a fan, that connection is awesome. And to make things even better, I paid for this out of profits from a card, which is awesome because it didn't really cost me anything. Now, the last two cards are freaking amazing. They're both gold from Flawless as well, and they each have a bit of a story, so just bear with me as I do talk to them. But this first one probably has the most important story, and this is a gold out of 10 Christian Vieri. It is the Flawless Signatures version. He does not have match worn kits in this. It's purely just autos. It is on card. His nickname is Bobo. That's why he signs as Bobo. It's amazing for a few reasons. Number one, my brother is named after him, so I'm Italian, as I've touched on before. This guy was really pivotal for Italy in the mid to late 90s and the early 2000s. Like, I remember getting up at 2, 3 a.m. in the morning watching this guy play. And the reason why my family has, an affection towards him is that he grew up in the same suburb as me in Southwest Sydney. We both grew up in Bosley Park, and he was born in Italy. His dad moved over here, almost dropped it to play soccer for my local team, which is Marconi Stallions. And this guy is Aussie through and through. He was also the most expensive transfer of all time, if I remember correctly. And I think he was named in the top 100 players or the top 100 players of the century. And that was something that was voted by the likes of Pele and a few others. Apologies if you can hear my daughter crying, but just all those together, this is just an amazing thing for me to own. It's not the best condition. There are some chips, but this is just awesome. My brother's named after him. Like I said, it is gold. The guy's a freaking legend. He's Australian through and through, even though he played for Italy. You can't begrudge him for that because that's where he was born. But the guy loves cricket. You hear him talk. He's Aussie as anything. And it's just so cool to have, a player like him who's so incredibly world-class, right? This guy is one of the greatest of all time. And he basically breathed the same air that I did. He played on the same local parks that I did, which is amazing. And I don't think that sort of stuff can be understated. And that kind of thing is what collecting is all about for me, being able to buy into cards that have that deeper meaning, which I think is amazing. Now, in terms of the biggest pickup, it is this one right here, and that is an Andrea Pirlo top of the class patch auto. Now, this is amazing for a few reasons, because he is one of the greatest players of all time, literally, and we were so privileged to sort of get to watch him play at his peak. He's done some amazing things in his career, and I just think this is so cool because it is, match worn, and it's actually part of the Italy badge. So it's upside down in the patch, unfortunately, but you can sort of see here that it's the upside down version of that logo. So you can sort of just see the I for Italia there. And it's just a nice looking card, a very clean auto, 9 of 10. I'm not sure why this got a BGS 8.5. I am going to crack it because I want it in a one touch and not in a holder. But we'll see if it actually has some issues on the surface, because if it doesn't, it's going to PSA and it'll probably come back a PSA 9 or 10. Which doesn't really matter to me from a grading perspective because this is staying with me for life, but it's honestly an amazing thing. And again, Flawless Soccer, it can't be stated or emphasized enough how cool this set actually is. And just to give you some context as well, these are 3 of the horizontal patch autos that you can get. So that's known as the patch auto. This is the top of the class insert, and that is the momentous patch auto. They also have the soul of the game insert, which is a piece of match worn boot, and then they've also got some vertical patch autos as well. But I just think these are freaking amazing. And this is not my favorite of the patch autos. I definitely like this one the most, but I'm not going to hate on that because this is a very cool card. And one of the things I touched on earlier, I know I'm talking for almost 20 minutes now, but this card I won for $690 from PWCC, including buyer's premium. It was literally paid for with profits from selling a box of Dragon Ball Z cards, and then also some other cards. I think it was some comic book cards as well. Literally cost me nothing. And to make that even better, I lost out on this when I told you I won these 2 cards back in Feb or March, whenever it was. I also bid on this at the same time, and this sold in Feb or March for about $200 more than what I won it for a few months later. The exact same card. So that's why it goes to things like don't always buy into FOMO, and things will come around if it's meant to be. And I'm so happy to add this to my collection, not to mention some of these other cards. So I'm very thankful that you guys joined me for this. Hopefully you like the whole thing. Let me know if you have any questions about any of the cards I bought. Let me know if you have any questions about Ship My Cards. I'm more than happy to recommend them or use them moving forward. I've used them multiple times now, and I think they're the best at what they do. They look after their customers very, very well. And it is unfortunate they've raised their fees lately, but I can understand where they're coming from. I've looked at competitors, and their competitors don't come close based on the research that I've done. So yeah, let me know if you have any questions. Let me know if you want to know more about Flawless Soccer. I'm thinking about doing a video, doing a bit of a deep dive as to why the set is so cool, why it's so underrated, why it won't ever be matched again, and why you should be buying it if you are a fan of it, because, guys, the stuff here is just amazing. So I appreciate you for watching. This was not that many cards, not as many as I thought, but in terms of dollar figures, it's actually quite expensive, some of these Flawless pickups. Again, people spend a lot more money than me, but this is very expensive for me. Also, if you want some tips on how to, approach your collecting and pay for cards with profits, I'm more than happy to do another video on that as well, because literally every single PC card you saw here, which is about $3,000 to $4,000 Australian, was paid for out of, profits from flipping cards, which I think is a really cool thing. And some people see that as a bit of a lie or not as an opportunity to do things. But if you're patient, you can sort of do it relatively easily, in my opinion. It just takes a long time. So thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.